Okay, it says we're going. Now, here's what I would like to do. First of all, I would like to always start with this, but sometimes I might forget. Did anybody, when you checked your work, did anyone have a problem that you missed and you don't know why what you did was wrong? I don't expect you to never miss anything, but I just want us to know why we missed it. And that's the most important thing. I want to go through, I wrote some sentences, and we're just going to go around the room and practice some sentences before I tell you about the new construction, the new grammar. We're going to start with John, because this will be easy. It'll be easy. Agricola ambulat.
Farmer walks.
The farmer walks. You know what I'd like to do, just real quick? I would like to write our endings up at the top, okay? Present tense. O-S-T mus tis, right? So amo, amas, amat, amamus, amanus, amant. Say it with me. Who are these? I, you, he, she, or it, we, y'all, they. Let's do our future ones. Bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. And so this is present, is, or are, do or does, right? I am loving, he is loving, he does love. Future, will. I'm a bow, I'm a bis, I'm a bit. I'm a bimus, I'm a bitus, I'm a bunt. I will love, you will love, he, she, or it will love, we will love, you all will love, they will love. And then our imperfect, bomb, boss, bot, bombus, botus, bont. Were, right? Was or were. I'm a bomb, I'm a boss, I'm a bot. I'm a bombus, I'm a botus, I'm a bont. I was loving, you
were loving.
was loving, we were loving, y'all were loving, they were loving. Okay. Just have that. I will leave that up here so that you can refer to it if you want to. Hayden, if this means the farmer walks, what would agricolae ambulant mean?
Farmers, they walk.
Yes, and you don't have to say they again because the farmers are the they. So we could just say the farmers walk. Perfect. Because yes, notice this means they, and the farmers are they. It's plural.
Wouldn't it be the farmers were walking?
Oh, no, because this be is actually part of the word. Okay. There's some words like that, and they have a be in them, and it just gets you every time. Yes. So all I did is I made this plural, still the subject, but I have to change the verb when the subject changes. Okay, Ava, how about nauta nawigabit?
The sailor will sail.
The sailor will sail. And Luke, if that's what this, oh, actually, I didn't do the same thing as I did with the Agricola. Poetai, can you see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Poetai, let me see, vocabont.
The poet, the poets. The poets, they call, they work on.
Mm-hmm. And just like Hayden, you don't have to say the they again, because notice it sounds kind of funny in English, the poets they were calling. The poets were calling. But I'd rather you said that than just had it, the poet is calling. You knew the plural, and that's good. Perfect. Background to John. Cruella cantat. I know it's not one of the ones from first form. This could be just a little closer. Just pressed, can see the board better.
I don't know if I can get the second word.
All right, tell me this.
The girl.
The girl. Anybody want to help him? What's the girl doing? Sings. The girl sings.
Right.
Caden, how about Reginae? Regnebant.
The rulers were ruling.
Mm-hmm. Are there queens? The queen, in this case, it's a queen. The queens were ruling. Beautiful. Ava, Incola. There's a C in there. Incola, Arat.
The farmer's plat. The farmer plats.
Mm-hmm. So he's not a farmer.
Oh.
You know,
You want to help her?
it's a settler.
The settler
Okay.
plows. Let's just do a few more. Feminae, Rogabunt.
The woman will ask.
Mm-hmm. Now, how many women do we have here? Notice we have this ending and we have a they ending.
More than one.
More than one, so the women will ask.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to review these plural and singular endings again today too. All right, one more time around the table. Let's actually, it's not one more time around the table. I only have two more. Oh, I made 10 because I was thinking 5 of us. Let's do a different type of sentence. Cruella est regina.
Girl's queen.
The girl is a queen. Let's do one more of that type, and I'm going to leave it up here. Agricolae sunt poetae. Caden, you want to give that a try?
I forgot what something.
So means they are. It just means are.
The farmers are poets.
The farmers are poets. And that brings us to our first thing we want to look at this week. The difference between verbs that cause action in something else and verbs that don't have any action at all. So notice ask. What's the verb ask? He asks. If I say that, what do you think? What's the next thing you ask or the thing you want to know? He asks. Yeah, what is he asking? What's going on with the asking? We don't usually use ask by itself. She's asking. Asking what? It makes me want to ask. It makes me want to ask, what are they asking, right? Let's take a look at some of the other verbs. And actually, this is a heads up for exercise 2 in chapter 5. They want you to sort your verbs. And they want to sort the verbs into 3 different groups. And I just want to go over, I'm going to have you read the chapter, but I just want to go over everything that's in it. Transitive, intransitive, or both? What does transitive and intransitive mean? Okay, trans means across. If you transport something, you're carrying it from one place to another, you're carrying it across, right? Transitive verbs carry an idea. They want you to ask, who did it happen to? When my favorite violent, the dog bit, if I just stop there, the dog bit. Well, it does tell you enough, the dog bit, but it makes you want to say, bit what? Bit a person, bit another dog, bit the table leg, I want to know, bit the bone. What happened with the biting? That's a transitive verb. It carries an idea through. We expect it to happen to someone. An intransitive verb doesn't carry any idea through. Is and are. When I mean the girl is queen, I don't expect the girl to be doing anything. I'm not saying anything about the girl or the queen. Just the fact that this person and this person are the same person. That's all I'm saying. She could be a beautiful girl, a bad queen, I don't know. Nothing's happening in that sentence. And there are some verbs that even though they're not the be verb, is or are, they have an idea of not having the action. So I'm looking at the answers just to remind me what verbs you know. Walk. Walk. He's walking. Okay, that's action, right? Somebody's doing something. It's not like is, but it doesn't make me, I don't need to know. He's not walking a thing. He might. He's walking the dog. If I say he's walking the dog, it's acting like this. But if I just say, he's walking, or a new baby, you know, the toddlers learn, the baby walked. I don't ask what did they walk. I don't need that information. So in my opinion, they put that as intransitive. I think it's both, right? But some verbs you just expect, like bite, look at. You just expect to have some sort of result. What are they looking at? It makes me want to know. In exercise 2, they want you to take all the verbs you've learned and just think about them. Do they always have to have something to finish the thought? Do they sometimes have to have something to finish the thought, like walk? Or do they never, ever have to have something to finish the thought, like is or are? Does that make sense to everybody? And the reason they're doing this is because today we are going to look at forming direct objects in a sentence. And I remember, Luke, you mentioned being maybe a little, on the fence about finding a direct object. So I'm just gonna, if this is easy and old stuff for you, review never hurt anybody, but I'm just gonna go from the very beginning. Take these sentences away. And I would like to write our endings, our noun endings back up. First declension, noun endings. I, with a little line. I, arum, is, us, is. Say them all once with me. I, arum, is, us, is. And we learned that it is divided, and this is actually on page 27, into singular and plural, and into cases. And last week, we learned about the nominative case. The nominative case is the subject of a sentence or the predicate nominative when we say is or are, like the girl is a queen, the farmers are poets. We still use the nominative because nothing's happening in that sentence. The girl and the queen are the same person. They get to be in the same case. Today, we're going to look at the accusative case. It is the direct object. I'm just going to label it DO. Here's a direct object. The boy, the dog, let's just have the dog do the biting. The dog bit the boy. We look at a sentence and we say this. What's the verb? What's the action? You tell me. What's the action?
Bit.
Bit. Verb. Who bit?
Dog.
The dog. Dog is the subject. Dog bit who?
The boy.
Boy. It's a direct object. If you say the subject and then the verb and then who or what, you will always find the direct object. It's that easy. The boy brought a gift. What's the action?
Brought.
Who brought?
Boy.
Boy brought what?
Gift.
Now I realize these are really easy because there's only so many nouns in the sentence. There's only so many choices. But it honestly doesn't get harder than that, even if the sentence is very, very long. If you can find a subject and a verb and ask what or who, you will find your direct object, even if the sentence is, a paragraph long. So that's what we're going to look at. When in Latin, when a noun is being the direct object, when something's being done to it, it's getting bitten or it's getting brought, we use the accusative case. If it's singular, and us if it's plural. So actually, we're just gonna take some of my sentences. I should have made these up. Oh, I did mix them up. It's in red even. How would I alert myself even more? Okay, so agricola. By the way, before I write this on the board, they will tell you in this chapter, and I will tell you now, that even though I told you on the first day that Latin sentences can scramble the words up in any order, and it still means the same thing, this is true. And sometimes when they write poetry, they do scramble the words to make the meter come out right. But normally, the word order is subject, then direct object, then a verb at the end. That's different than us. Those sentences I wrote on the board earlier, it was the subject, then the verb, then the direct object. In Latin, they like to put the verb at the end, which just strikes us as very strange because we feel like the verb is a really important part. I want to know right away what's happening. You told me generally in English who's doing it, but I want to know right away what they're doing. Not in Latin. First you find out who's doing it, then you find out who got it done to them. And last of all, you find out what they're doing. But you get used to it in time. So I'm going to write my sentences in the Latin order, the way you're going to encounter them. So agricola feminam vocat. Sorry. So let's take this away. What would agricola vocat mean?
Farmer.
Mm-hmm.
It's vocat, call.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. He, she, it calls. So
Mm-hmm.
the farmer calls.
The farmer calls. And now I have something. With
Farmer calls the woman.
The farmer calls the woman. Who calls? Farmer calls. Calls who? Calls the woman. She's the direct object. And she has a direct object ending. So technically, if I wanted to get crazy, if I were writing poetry or I was just nuts or lazy, I could say feminam agricola vocat. I could change the endings or change the order, but I still know it's the farmer that's doing it. He's got the subject ending. And it's the woman who's having it done to her. She's the direct object. Does that make sense? All right. There's no silly question ever. Okay. Please, I'd rather you ask the question than wondered about it. Okay. How about this one? Regina do I think I gave you, do you know the word insula? Have you learned? Okay. I thought I looked back and didn't give you any words. I do that, don't I, John? A few words that you don't know. Now, here's how I have sometimes found it helpful, and I think students find it helpful. Find me a verb. Find me a verb. What's the action? Regnabit. Tell me everything you can. Just translate regnabit for me.
Rule.
And do the whole thing. What does the beat part tell you?
That he, she, or it. No. Yeah, he, she, or it will rule.
He, she, or it will rule. So now I know something. I'm looking for a subject that will be a he, she, or it, not a they. Now, I have two words as a choice. Which one of these is my subject? The queen, because she's the one with the subject ending. And she's a he, she, or it. The queen will rule the island, direct object. So when there's only 3 words, it's pretty easy. But when you get more words than that, it sometimes helps if you find the verb and you ask yourself, what's my subject going to be? Is my subject going to be a he, a they? Is the subject we? If it is, I probably don't have another subject. And then I'll know right away what I'm looking for when words build up. But in this case, it's pretty easy. Let's try another one. In coli, teram, opunabant. I'm just going to let you process.
The first one's settlers.
It
and
is.
Then the verb at the end, attack, but that's a they ending imperfect. So they were.
The settlers will. No.
It's were.
It
The
is
settlers were attacking the land.
The settlers were attacking the land. This is exactly. So I love the way you told me your thought process, your stream of thought, because you're looking, okay, I know that's settler, I know it's plural. It can be a subject, it can be other things too that we haven't learned yet. That's the tricky thing. But right now, it's the subject. What were they doing? We're attacking what? A direct object, the land. Make sense? Let's do one more. Femini, nautas, amant. Let's do somebody other, no offense.
Okay.
Somebody other than you.
Okay.
Work your way through it. Anybody who wants to, or you can do it jointly.
The women love sailing.
Well, except that's not sailing. Sailor. Right? Now is sailor.
The women love the sailors.
Yeah. The women, more than one, love, and we see it's more than one because it's a they. The sailors, plural. Now we go, and now ta, very, very similar. Let's turn it into cadences. The women love navigare, to sail. The women love to sail, which we haven't been doing yet, but you can use those as direct objects. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. And the sentences that they give you are only going to be using nominative and accusative. They're not going to put other endings in for you to deal with. So basically, if it has one of these endings, it's going to have to be your subject. And your only real trouble is, first of all, knowing what it means. Second of all, is it singular or plural? And if it has one of these endings, it's going to have to be the direct object, the thing that's having it done to him. Let me put that last sentence up again. Femini, nautas, amant. Do you remember, and I don't remember which chapter, first or second chapter, they just had a little sideline in there of what they do in Latin when they ask a question. Do you remember how they ask a question?
Don't you put nay and
you put nay, the letters N-E, at the end of the first word, And they usually like to do it to the verb. They like to do it to the verb. So if this means the women love the sailors, amantne feminae natas. I just turned it into a question. It's the same words. Do the women love the sailors? But notice I can mix it up because this still has the ending that tells me the women are doing the loving. And this still has the ending that says the sailors are the ones being loved. That doesn't change. There's one of these in one of your exercises. So remember that ne just means these words are now asking a question. That's all it means. And then after you notice it, you can ignore it because it's not really part of the meaning of the word. It just means this is a question. But most of the time, the verb will be at the end. They're going to give you some sentences this week, and they're going to ask you to actually translate some stuff into Latin. And at the bottom of page 28, can I just show you these? They use the names Julia and Flora. Please just translate Julia and Flora as Julia and Flora. Notice they have a subject ending already. And you can actually take a name, like Flora. Flora is probably never going to be plural. We're assuming there's only one of her. But if something happens to her, we can just add the ending. Treat Julia and Flora as first declension nouns when you do those sentences, okay? Uses the same endings. Does that make sense? Okay. I wanted to mention what they say in exercise 4. It says, circle all endings in the sentences below. Parse each word. People used to parse. Like old time, that's probably my grandmother's generation, you know what I mean. This was a grammar exercise where you had to say person, number, tense. You had to give all the information about it. This is what they want you to do. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But notice that C says diagram the sentence. You do not have to diagram sentences for me, ever. If it ever says diagram a sentence, if you want to do that, you do it. But a lot of people don't diagram sentences. How many of you in your grammar books have diagrammed sentences? Okay. I have never diagrammed a sentence. All the schools I went to, they just didn't do it. And then I got older because my family moved around a bit. And when I got to a school and they diagrammed, what the heck is this? I don't know. I'm fine to find all the parts of the sentence, but I don't know where all the little lines of the branches are supposed to go. So if it helps you to diagram these sentences, you go for it. But I am not requiring you to do that, okay? As long as we can find what a subject and a direct object are and the other things that we add on. That's up to you, okay? But let me show you what parsing it will be like. And let's actually parse this sentence that I made up. They tell you, I'm on page 28, except it's 27 for you, right? Inexplicably. On exercise 4, B, parse each word, and it tells you verbs, person, number, tense. So let's do the verb, amant. Is it first, second, or third person?
Third.
Third. Is it singular or plural? Third person, plural. And what tense is it?
Present.
Present. So let's just go back and make sure that everybody sees where John got that. We have first person, second person, third person, singular and plural, and then tense. So, third person, plural, and it's present. I have just parsed amant. That's all they're asking you to do. And then it says for nouns, give the case, number, and gender. So let's parse feminae. What case is it? You only really are using 2 right now. So you only have 2 choices.
Nominative.
It's nominative, which you can just write an N. Is it singular or plural?
Well,
It's plural. And what's the other thing we want? Case number, and gender. Is it masculine, feminine, or neuter? It's feminine. Now I just parsed feminine. Let's parse nautos. Is nautos, what case is it?
nominative.
Well, it's got an os ending,
Accusative.
so it's accusative. Is it singular or plural?
Plural.
Plural. And what gender is it?
Masculine.
It's masculine. That is a tricky one because remember, sailor, poet, settler, and sailor are masculine, even though they have a feminine ending. So if it's not one of those, every time you're just going to say it's feminine. All right? Have I gone through that too quickly? Have I gone through that sufficiently? Does it make sense to everybody? What you're going to do? They have another reading and they give you more information about Menelaus and Helen and the Trojan War in your culture corner to make sense of the story. If you already know the story, you don't need those really. Let's just do the derivative detective for fun together on page 30 or 29. I'll forget. You'll just know it's always one page behind. It says, just for fun, write down a derivative for each word below, an English word that comes from that word. Can you think of a word that comes from a mot? And I'm going to read the hint. What do we call an actor who appears on stage not for money, but just because he loves acting? This could be a sports figure too. He plays the sport not for money, but just because he loves it.
Amateur.
Amateur. Look at the word amateur. It means he does it just because he loves it.
I
Amateur.
didn't know that.
I know, isn't that? And you know what? We kind of use amateur as an insult. He's just an amateur. He's not very good. But amateur is a compliment. I'm not so low that I do this for money. I only do it because I love it. Amateur. The next one is nauta. And the hint is, what do we call citizens who go into space? I don't know what they say citizen. Astronaut. Here, I need more room. Astronaut. And there's our sailor. And astro means star sailor. An astronaut is a star sailor. Which is kind of cool. Okay, last one, spectat. It says, what do we call such sports as football or baseball? I'm going to change that. What do we call the people who sit in the stands and watch the football game?
Spectators.
They are the spectators. And it even has the word spectat. That's funny. And it's amazing. We have so many words that we use all the time, and they all come from Latin. So I told you, Caden and Luke, heard me say, I was telling them the story about the word clue and where the word clue comes from. And I was just reading a history book, and he said, if you knew the history of all words, you would know all history. If you knew why we called things what we called them, you would know the history of the world. I think it's true. That's why I love this sort of thing. I would like you to go through this week, read a section, and do the accompanying exercise. We're not going to do exercise 1 because I'm not making you syllabize and accent. Let me go over your vocabulary with you before I send you off. But if you are using the workbook, it will divide the days up for you. If you are not, you'll have to kind of divide them up for yourself over 4 days or 5 days if you do some today or the weekend. I have an email all ready to send to your families with the key. All right. Did that work out okay for everybody? Any trouble did you get the answer key from your mom?
Oh, I already had it. Well, because we have the.
Oh, you have this answer key. Okay. I didn't ask people to buy it, but if you are, do any of the rest of you already have the answer key? Okay. Fine. You're probably just going to keep getting them. Your mom's going to keep getting them because I have a group, an email group form for you guys, and I just click the group. But you can ignore it and just use the key. But yeah, I will keep trying to remember that. If you never don't get it for some reason, because my mind has gone wonky again, call me or email me and say, where's the key? Let's look at your new words. I see that they are all first declension again, which is good because I don't really know any endings except first declension endings. I see that these are all feminine. They all have an F. And I see they're all first declension because their genitive ends in I. First one is Amika, Amikai, a female friend. Amicable is an English word that means friendly. Ancilla, Ancilli is a maidservant, a female servant. Ancillary means a help, someone who comes alongside and helps, or something that comes alongside and helps you. Cana, canine means dinner. Okay, cynical apparently is a fancy name for a dining room. Do we need a fancy name for a dining room? Why would we not have?
Dining room. What's a fancy name for
Dining room is a fancy name already. Kulina, kulinai means kitchen. Culinary, that's where we get the word culinary arts. It means the art of cooking. Fabula, fabuli, a story. Like we get fable. Also, we get the word fabulous. You know, when we call something fabulous, we usually mean it's great, it's awesome. But fabulous means it's so spectacular, it's like it must be a story. That's the connection. It's so amazing, it's like it comes out of a story. It's fabulous. Philia, filii means daughter. Filial means of a daughter. So filial love is the love of a daughter for her parents. Pupa, pupae means doll. And I do not know why we call that intermediate stage of some insects. You know, they have a pupa, the pupal stage. When they're in the cocoon, they call it the pupa. Yeah, and they pupate, yes. Mystery dolls. This is a mystery to me. They don't look anything like dolls. But it's got to be related.
It's probably like one of the reasons, like we make dolls scary.
I don't even want to go there. My daughter likes to make dolls scary. It's creepy. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Rosa, rosei. That's really easy. It means rose. We don't even need a derivative of rosa because rose is the derivative. And stella, stellai means star. So stellar, travel through the stars, or constellation. Con means together or with. Constellation is a stars together, a group of stars together that make a picture. Stella is also a name. So if you know anyone named Stella, she is a star. Does anybody know someone named Stella? She's a star. Should tell her. We have two new verbs also below the nouns. Identifico, identificare, identificavi, identificatum. He's got a lot of syllables. Build. And we get the word edifice. An edifice is the front structure of usually a large, fancy building. But we more often use the term edification. For something to edify you, it means it builds you up. It doesn't tear you down. It doesn't make you less virtuous or upset. It builds you up in confidence or virtue or whatever. Edification. It comes from edifico, edificare, edificavi, edificatum. Notice it's got the same principal parts though. O, ari, awi, atum. Great. And specto. Specto is much easier to remember because spectacles or spectators look at. Specto, spectari, spectavi, spectatum. that is the next lesson, and I think it is 20 after. No, we're supposed to go 25 after, aren't we? Don't we?
No,
But
20.
it's 20 after the time.
Yeah,
No, like
I-
It's- 20 after 11.
yeah, it's 20
Oh,
after
gotcha.
11.
So it's
But we start,
11:20.
but, so we have 5 minutes, technically. So
25?
What?
Isn't it 20?
Well, it's 45, so we start at, don't we start at 10, 20 till?
We
We started a little early.
We start at like 10:40.
Yeah.
10:40.
Yeah, and then till 11:25.
11, maybe, I don't know.
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna give, like, I could make you do more sentences, but we did a bunch of sentences. I'm just gonna let you go and say we're done, even if it is 5 minutes early. Let me know if you have any questions. Call me or email me. Otherwise, I will see some of you in a minute and some of you next week. Okay.